The Govee Wi-Fi water sensor alarm, which we'll call Gen 1, and the GoveeLife water leak detector 2, the Gen 2, are some very effective and low-cost options when it comes to detecting leaks.
Okay, that's loud.
However, in testing both these systems for the last year, there are some differences which may make your decision easier on which would best protect your home. The Gen 1 hub only supports 10 sensors. When you think about how many different points of water that you are trying to protect against leaking, sinks, toilets, dishwasher, washing machine, water heater, that number adds up quickly. While you may read some reviews that say that it does support more than 10, I haven't personally tested that out. Your mileage may vary, so consider that this one, it has a 10 sensor limit per hub. Gen 2 has 100. Gen 2 uses low-red technology. It's a lower power, much larger distance covered. So while it says that this can have a quarter-mile distance from the sensor to the hub and still detect a leak, I did try that out. You might not get that far, but it is a much further distance supported than the Gen 1. I don't necessarily see that as a limitation, because let's go into price.
I bought my Gen 1 set for $42, including tax. The set included 3 sensors and a gateway. That breaks down to $14 even a sensor. The Gen 2 set I bought was $54 for 4 sensors and the gateway, coming out to $13.50 a sensor. The price is fairly close, so it isn't really a factor in that decision of which is the better set to buy, which is a bonus.
It's such a low entry cost to get something set up to protect your home. And really, when it comes to that 10 sensor limit, if you bought one hub for one side of your house, another hub for the other side of your house, that's not a whole lot more or less saved than just getting to the next step. Another difference, the Gen 2 is compatible with Alexa and Google. Honestly though, I'm not trying out the voice commands with either system. I don't need to ask Alexa or Google for status when the Govee sensor is screaming at me. There's nowhere in this house where I could possibly not hear the sensor blaring, even behind closed doors. The Gen 1 is not compatible, but again, who cares with the volume level on this thing? IFT is a totally different story. The specs say that the Govee Wi-Fi water sensor alarm is not compatible with IFT, while the GoveeLife water leak detector 2 is. When I create an applet on IFT allowing any device alert on any Govee sensor to shut off the water to the house with my Fin Plus device, which is what you see here, when the sensor detects water, Fin Plus is closing the valve, stopping water from flowing through the house, keeping the leak as small as possible. But we can't stop there, right? The applet says any device alert. So I have to open up the valve on Fin Plus after this first test and try out the GoveeLife water sensor. It triggered Fin Plus too. So it is compatible with IFT. Very nice. Now, this isn't the case for all water monitors out there. You have to verify this before purchasing one of these bigger ticket items that can stop a leak after one of these sensors detects a leak. Mow and Flow, for instance, used to support IFT when it started out, but that integration was removed. That makes sense because most of these more popular systems like Fin, the Moen, are also offering their own leak sensors. From a business perspective, integration with other systems is not necessarily in their best interest because they won't sell as many of their own devices. So take integration with an expectation that it may not always be there. The next thing I want to talk about is, since this is LoRa technology, you have to have your location enabled when you're setting it up. Why they need that? I mean, they know your address because they sent you to the devices, but why do you need a location in order to have this set up? Whereas for the Gen 1, I didn't have to enter my location. So if you are concerned about that sort of thing, that's a difference. Because of the lower use, this battery lasts 2 years, whereas Gen 1 lasts only 1. I have not quite gotten to the 1 year mark, so I can't tell you how long the batteries last personally, but I do know that since there is a crazy amount of screws on the back of both of these, as soon as they start chirping, you'll want to replace them. These are both very similar to actual smoke detectors, so you will want to replace the batteries as soon as one goes off because you have to deal with the chirping while you're unscrewing all of the screws. One reason I can imagine that these are screwed in with the gasket surrounding this entry point is that these are both waterproof. These are IP66 rated, and as you can see right here, there's also a difference in between where the speakers are. You can see the Gen 1 has a speaker right on top. That's where this hole is right here. And the speaker for the Gen 2 is on the sides. Now, if you place this directly under a potential leak source, which I do not recommend, I have a follow-on video I'll link to at the end, but if you place this underneath the water leak source, as soon as this whole surface is covered, this sound gets muffled. Is it going to go off the side first? Or is it going to go into the speaker? Oh, it's full. Oh, that's blissfully a little more quiet. Not to say that you won't get your notice off of your app or your email, but knowing that this is a lot less likely to get muffled. The sound will be just blaring, and both of these also have a very loud sound. There's no difference in sound, except if there's water on the top. I don't really have a good way of measuring sound, but I can tell you that having tested both of these with my camera, being just inches away, you can see from the sound video right here that they both have the same noise. And you'll probably hear these outside of your house before you go in and know that you have a leak. But knowing that this is a much better design than the speaker on top, also a good thing. But don't put them under the water source. Okay, size-wise, you can see that the Gen 1 is just a little bit width-wise smaller. It's about the same lengthwise. Maybe it's a little bit longer. And from a depth perspective, if you're trying to slide these underneath something, the Gen 1 is just a little shorter than the Gen 2, but very similar in size. Let's do a comparison on the two hubs. This is the hub or the base for Gen 1, and this is the one for Gen 2. When you put them in place, you can see that it has the potential to, well, let's try it out. You can plug a 2-prong into the upper outlet, but a 3-prong, oh, it does work. Oh, that's tight, but it works. All right, not bad. Because here's what I was concerned about, is seeing how close that is right there. That just fits. Here's Gen 2. Oh man. Okay. There is a clear winner there. Let's see. You could still use it for a 2-prong. Just verify. And it's in. 3 prongs, this is a no-go.
Let's see what it looks like upside down. Aha! That is accessible. Likewise, this one, flipped around, has more space. So thinking outside of the box, if you put these in upside down, it allows you to have the bottom outlet open.
Within the app, there doesn't seem to be any difference between the two different kinds of devices. This was a bit of a disappointment because when I set up the Gen 2, It really looked like there was going to be some way of detecting which sensor matched within the app, but that didn't really seem to pan out in reality.
Nope.
You can see when we're looking at these limitations, probably boils down to, do you want to share your location? How many sensors you need to fully protect your home? How large of a distance do you need between the sensors and hub? How plugged in do you want it to be for another system that can help you shut off the leak, which is a phenomenal thing.
I reached out to Govee to help you get a discount, so when you check out, enter this discount code for 10% off. Or, if you're not sure if Govee is right for you, watch this video next because it covers cheaper sensors to much more expensive sensors, and we'll dive into even more features. The whole goal is for you to know that the leak sensors that you buy are the best for your home and lifestyle, giving you peace of mind.
See you there.